Chapter 5. "You might sit down," Simon Bass said, "before you fall down." I sank into an upholstered chair. But I thought—" "You thought the one who brought you here was to be your master." Bass shrugged. "Falconer is not the most communicative of men, nor the most genial. But he is reliable and effective. I could not go to Yorkshire myself because, well, for various reasons. He got you here in one piece at any rate." "Aye, mostly." Bass chuckled. "Neither is Falconer the most considerate of travelling companions, I warrant. Have you eaten?" "Aye." Good. He shoved his papers aside, took up a pipe, and filled the bowl of it with tobacco from an earthenware jar. "Then we can get right down to business. You'll be wanting to know what's expected of you." "Aye." Though my seat was comfortable, I shifted about nervously. "Very well." He went to the fireplace, touched a taper to a live coal, and lit the pipe. "The first thing I expect is that you say yes rather than I. Your task will not require you to speak over much, but I'd as soon you did not brand yourself as a complete rustic. Understood?" I mean, yes." "Excellent." His manner, which had become prickly, turned cordial again. "Now, when you go to London—" "London?" Yes, London. It's a large city to the south of here." "I ken that, but—" "Let me finish, then ask questions. When you go to London, you will attend a performance of a play called The Tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. You will copy it in Dr. Bright's charactery, and you will deliver it to me. Now, any questions?" I scarcely knew where to begin. Well, how? That is, they will not object? The men who present the play?" "Only if they discover you. Naturally, you will be as surreptitious as possible." And they do discover me?" I asked, thinking of the sermon-copying affair. Bass blew out a cloud of smoke, which made me cough. "The Globe's audience is customarily between 500 and 1,000. Do you suppose they can watch over every member of it?" "I whiz not." "You whiz not? Of course they can't. You will use a small table book, easily concealed." He rummaged through the riot of papers on his writing desk. "You see how easily it is concealed. Even I can't find it." Finally, he came up with a bound pad of paper the size of his hand. "There. Keep it in your wallet. You have a plumbago pencil?" Yes." "Any further questions?" "And I might ask, for what purpose am I to do this?" Bass turned a penetrating look on me. "Does it matter?" "Nay, I was not. I was only curious." He nodded and scratched the balding top of his head. "You'll know sooner or later, I suppose." He puffed thoughtfully at his pipe, then continued. "I am a man of business, Widge, and one of my more profitable ventures is a company of players. They are not nearly so successful as the Lord Chamberlain's or the Admiral's men, but they do a respectable business here in the Midlands. As they have no competent poet of their own, they make do with hand-me-downs, so well used as to be threadbare. If they could stage a current work by a poet of some reputation, they could double their box." "Box?" "The money they take in, and my profit would also double. Now someone, sooner or later, will pry this tragedy of Hamlet from the hands of its poet, Mr. Shakespeare, just as they did Romeo and Juliet and Titus Andronicus." He jabbed his pipe stem at me for emphasis. "I would like it to be us, and I would like it to be now, while it is new enough to be a novelty. Besides, if we wait for others to obtain it, they will do a botched job, patched together from various scenes, none of them reliable. Mr. Shakespeare deserves better. He is a poet of quality, perhaps of genius, and if his work is to be appropriated, it ought to be done well. That is your mission. If you fulfill it satisfactorily, the rewards will be considerable. If you do not—" He gave a wry smile. Well, Falconer will make certain that you do. The anticipation that had been growing in me turned suddenly sour. I did not ken I would go with me. Bass laughed. Did you suppose I would send you off to London on your own? You can't even speak the language properly. I might just as well send you to Guyana. He patted one of my sagging shoulders. Don't look so inconsolable. Faulkner will take good care of you, and you can learn a lot from him. Besides, looking on the bright side, this time you'll have a horse of your own. So, the room that was to be mine was mine for 2 nights only. The following morning we set out for London. Though my legs had not quite recovered, by shortening my stirrups and leaning back in the saddle, I could ride without too much discomfort. Naturally, Falconer set a brisk pace. Mr. Bass had no doubt instructed him not to delay, and he, in his fanatical fashion, took this to mean that we should drive our mounts and ourselves to exhaustion. I was better fed this time, for Libby had provided me with all manner of victuals: fruit, meat pies, clap bread. She had also found time to wash and mend my workday clothing and patch my torn shoe. When I thanked her, she had waved my words away. Tush, it's no more than is expected of me. Don't you go getting yourself into trouble in the city now. Trouble, I thought? In London? Ever since I could remember, I had heard Dr. Bright and others speak of London in tones usually reserved for talk of the heavenly city. As the earth was the centre of the greater universe, so London was the centre of our miniature universe. And I, witch, orphan, and lowly apprentice, was moving toward that centre. Saw legs be damned. I dug my heels into my horse's ribs and urged her into a gait that for a short time outstripped even Falconer. I had gone no more than a mile when a hare scampered from the brush and across the roadway. My mount reared, nearly spilling me from the saddle. Falconer came abreast of me. What's the trouble? He demanded. A hare, I said, shaken, ran across my path. That's all. From your face anyone would guess it was a dragon at least. Do you not ken it's a bad omen? I take no stock in omens. Men make their own fates. Not prentices, I muttered. I urged my horse forward, but not with quite the same eagerness as before.